listen to what you were saying because I was afraid I was going to have to disagree with most of what you said. So I try not to listen to it. The topic that you chose is about, and I'm sorry, I'm so laid back. I just read it a moment ago, and it's about 2021. What should we all be doing in 2021 to accelerate our spiritual growth? Well, first we should pray that this year is not like last one. That will be a good idea. This has been a very testing time for everyone, included ourselves. It doesn't matter, how senior you are or, how you handle the Krishna consciousness in your life. Somehow or other, you just by living in the material world, you will be affected. I'm sorry. Just one moment. I forgot to turn off the WhatsApp, so it makes noise. There you go. So right now, I was actually having a little discussion with my wife. More of a discussion when she was chiding me, which is, the duty of a Krishna conscious wife, I guess, to set you straight. And she was telling me that I'm not fully engaged in service, and she's right. Well, the circumstances are difficult because of COVID, because of the interactions. There's a dynamic between devotees. We are not able to have a quote unquote normal life, that going to the temple and participating in programs and so on. But still, there's always, different opinions. This is even in the spiritual world. Of course, in the spiritual world, everybody's a person, and they agree on serving Krishna, and other things are not important to them. Whereas we in the material world may agree on serving Krishna, but we consider other things just as important, like our material life, our material mentality, or idiosyncrasy, or what we believe is true and what we believe is wrong, and our false ego is flaring up because we consider ourselves wrong. Let's be honest about this. We don't have the right to complain, because whatever we receive, whether it is a good thing or a bad thing, is exactly what we deserve. There is no injustice. There is no victims, and especially there is no innocent victims. That's an oxymoron. Those two words are not. They shouldn't be put together. There's no, I've been victimized or this or that. So, how to go about it? How to practice Krishna consciousness without being disturbed by the circumstances that surround us? Continuing to be enthusiastic, as Rupa Goswami recommends, is the first thing he says about practicing devotional service. You have to be enthusiastic, you have to be patient, and you have to have the determination to do it. So you may, at a certain time, for X or Y reasons, lose one of them, lose your enthusiasm, or lose your patience, or lose your determination. But you should know that they should always be with you at all times. You have to do it somehow or other. Somehow or other. You had them, they haven't gone away. They're just being hidden by different factors, whether it be because you're depressed, or because you are in Maya, or because of a tragedy, or because you've Maya allure you with something else that you consider more important. But these things, doing service in particular, is crucial because it's the only thing that will get you back to Krishna. Service is actually, devotional service is more powerful than Krishna himself. That's why he needs to come to the material world. Well, he didn't need to, but he chose to come to the world as Lord Chaitanya to experience something he didn't have, which is love of himself, because he's the beloved of everyone. And he needs to become a devotee in order to experience love of God. So love of himself can only be available through service and the association of advanced Vaishnavas. In his case, his eternal associates. But actually, he gave the mercy, Lord Chaitanya gave the mercy to everyone, pretty much indiscriminately. And he showed anxiety too. He even asked Haridas Thakur, how are all these Yavanas and Mlechas going to be saved? How are they going to be delivered? That creates a lot of anxiety in me and unhappiness. So Haridas Thakur, I'm sorry, this seems to be one of the apps is still on, so I need to turn it off. Yeah. Yes. I apologize for that. He said, don't worry, don't be in anxiety. Just Namabas, even hearing the holy name or chanting it, even if it was for a different reason or with a different intention or unknowingly or laughingly, as a joke. Like we had a time when it was probably early 90s, I would say. I was in the Smoky Mountains between North Carolina and Tennessee distributing books. I will go every fall for a month and every summer for a month. And as we were situated within a national park, they assigned, the National Park Service was quite envious. And I have no problem saying that. They didn't want us to be there. People came to see the mountains, they came to see the Hare Krishnas. But because it's a public place, we obtained a permit and we were selling Srila Prabhupada's books. So there was one particular, how do you call them? Those forest ranger, that was assigned to stand nearby us, and people will, because they are dressed in uniform, they emanate some authority, so people will ask, questions, and sometimes the question was, who are these people? We were not dressed with kurtas and tilak and so on. So he will say, these are Krishnas, Hare Krishnas. So he was standing there all day chanting Krishna, Hare Krishna. That was his job for day after day after day after day. So that person got incredible benefit. He will be liberated one way or another because he was not intentionally, he wasn't, it's not like, he would, it was only time until he asked for a japa, for himself, but he was chanting Krishna, Hare Krishna constantly, all day. People ask, who are they? Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Yeah, completely like that. And so Haridas Thakur said, even that is enough to get him started in the cycle, which is not the cycle of samsara, birth, old age, disease, and death. So these activities like chanting, so it's service. This is not just a hobby. This is not something we do on the side. Oh, I have my service. I do puja every day. I offer incense to Ladu Gopal, and that's my service. No, when you chant Hare Krishna, that's your main service. Other things you do because you want to do, or you inherited, or it's a tradition, or it's a cultural thing, wherever it is, or because you feel it within your heart, or because you've been asked by your guru. but your main service is to chant Hare Krishna, because that is the beginning of devotional service, and that's the thing that's going to change your heart. You see, the service that takes place in the material world can be spiritualized, but chanting Hare Krishna is already a spiritual service. You actually, if you do it properly, you will see the veils of anger and greed and lust and madness and illusion and pride and envy lift one after another. It may be that there are many films, one on top of each other, and you can still see through, but it's going to get better. It's going to get better. So if you become despondent at this point and you think, well, I've been chanting for so long and nothing has happened, well, that's not true. Not true. You have made advancement, but you cannot see it. Others can see it, but you cannot see it. So you may think, how can I be enthusiastic about something I'm not even good at? You know, or when you hear a recording of yourself chanting Hare Krishna, chanting your japa, and you think you were doing fine, but when you hear it and you hear, oh, I'm skipping a bunch of names, I'm speeding through. I cannot, while I chant, all I can think of is, when am I going to be done? This is, but we are all children in Krishna consciousness. We may have started lifetimes ago, but this is an eternal path. Don't think you're going to be done. It's not like you go to school and then eventually get the diploma and you're done with it. You can do postgraduate, but then what do? You have to do something else. No, chanting will continue, service to Krishna will continue, and this is something that Krishna himself is looking forward to, because he loves us. He loves his parts and parcels as much as he loves himself and more. So he gives us an opportunity to reciprocate, and he's very anxious, much more anxious than we are, to develop our love for Krishna. Krishna already loves us, and our heart is not a good recipient at this point, perhaps, to receive all the love that we get from him, but certainly is a good receptacle that you just have to keep clean and throw the stuff that is inside. Krishna cannot get in. If there is other things, there are other things in the heart, there is no room for Krishna. It's like you have a storage room and there is a bed there standing, and you have a guest, and you can sleep there, but you can't set up the bed unless you get everything else out of the room. So the heart is a perfect receptacle for Krishna to sit on, but he can't sit if there is no room, if there is boxes and boxes that we've been accumulating full of anger and envy and lust and things that are not meant for him. So Krishna, we may think, well, Krishna's a little bit demanding. He wants exclusivity. He wants us to love him and leave everything else aside. But just don't forget that we are talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and everything is within him. So there is no need to go the other way around. It's a lot more complicated, and you will never get to destination. You have to love Krishna, and then you will love everything else, and you will see what's necessary and what's not. Don't start from the other end, because you will never end and you will not get to Krishna. So chanting, again, is the first service. So we were discussing this. I'm a lazy person, I guess, by nature, and I like people to set up things for me. I have no problem chanting for hours, or speaking for hours, or reading for hours, or doing all this, or even cooking for hours. But these are all. This is not the spiritual world. It's not like it's all set up and that's all you can do. You have to do many other things. You have to do all the groundwork. And I've been doing it for a long time, but it never ends. And I want to see the result, because I think I'm the doer. So I want to see what's the result of my service. What's the result of my preaching? What's the result of this or that? And I don't have the right to that. I only have the right to do the service, not to enjoy the fruits. That's meant for Krishna. So as long as I think that I am the enjoyer of the results of my own service, I'll get no pleasure out of that. So I will think, oh, what am I gonna do now? As yeah, I don't have the patience to tolerate this person. I've been trying to tell them about Krishna and Krishna consciousness and teaching them, and they're just dull, and the questions don't come. The question is always the same, or they don't have any depth, and I take it as someone else's fault, and therefore I blame others. But I should blame myself. I have no skills to teach anybody about anything, and I pretend to be a teacher and think, oh, the result should be that everybody should be Krishna conscious. But I'm just trying to sell a product I believe in, but I don't use it myself. So that's where the work starts. When you start chanting, all these things become quite apparent. You're far, far away in the journey. And if you don't keep the things that are useful, and you just, like if you are on a long journey and you have a backpack and you pack things that are absolutely unnecessary, and you refuse to put them by the side and leave them behind, then you will be very, very exhausted, tired, sore, injured even, and you will never get to destination. So that's what we have to do. We have to actually stop and think, and then take the backpack off, unzip it, take everything out, look at it, examine it, investigate, think about it. Do I really need this? Do I really need to carry this lust? Where am I gonna go? Do I need to really carry this envy or jealousy or distaste or distrust, or to see a particular person as an enemy? Is this helping my spiritual life? This is all very heavy weight that one carries. So we have to leave it behind, and it may take an effort. It may be, but because, as I was saying, we are children, we are spiritual children. So imagine you have a child, and many of you do, and the child is attached to a particular toy. Well, I'm 65-year-old. We used to have toys. Now kids have iPhones. I mean, I don't know what they use for toys. The iPads and iPhones, probably those are Nintendo consoles and stuff like that. If you take it away from a kid, take a toy, they will throw a tantrum. Then they're not going to be happy. They're going to feel this is a punishment. This is a horrible thing, and you hate me, and you don't have a right to do this. But actually, we are the same. We are the same. We are attached to all these toys that signify nothing if you're an adult. Because if you were attached to a particular toy, let's say a toy clown or soldier or a doll for a girl, you may be attached when you're 40 years old, but if you're 45 years old and somebody takes that doll or that toy clown away, you're going to think, what's wrong with these people? But you're not going to be upset, because this is just a toy that you were attached to when you were young, and not anymore, as maybe a sentimental significance, but it's not a terrible attachment that it becomes painful. And so we have accumulated a lot of toys actually in our journey. Again, these toys are related to because of our bad habits. So when someone wants to take one of these toys away, when you start practicing Krishna consciousness, when you actually want to stay away from Maya and practice Krishna consciousness, then Krishna is going to test you, and Maya is going to test you, and Krishna is going to test you. Maya is going to try to, show you new toys, while Krishna is trying to take them away. And you have to make a decision. Are you going forward, or you're staying where you are at, or you're not going to make much progress. And we are good at talking the talk, and it's very difficult to walk the walk. It's very easy to speak about renunciation if you're, if you have a nice house, right? But if you don't have a house, you probably don't talk much about renunciation. So this is what we have to learn from this new year. We just had a really rough 2020 where there was we had an idiot as a president. We have a virus, an invisible thing that's been tossing people around and killing everywhere, where everything is uncertain. You don't know if your job is going to remain your job. You have to spend time with your family. God forbid, that you'd spend so much time. They may discover you're not the ideal superhero that you thought you were. So this is a lot of a turmoil within 2020. We have to learn something out of it, which is probably a strong way that Krishna has to make us introspective. We have all the externals down. We wave the chamara in the right way, and the right prayers. But what about inside our heart? What's happening there? So this is a time where you actually think, what's going to be my future? Your future depends on your present. Your future doesn't depend on the years that go by or the government or anything. It depends on what you do, how you shape your future. And your present is shaped by your past. Whatever you experience now is actions. So you can't change the past, change the present, but you could change the future by changing your present. So let's hope we do that. I wanted to read something. This struck me. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, there's a book, Patramrita, the nectar of the letters, the exchanges that he had with his disciples, well-wishers, and other people. So in this case, this is called To Remove Lamentation, advice given to a father whose son has died. This was written when he was at the Gaudiya Math in Calcutta on May 29, 1927. This morning, I have come to the Sri Gaudiya Math with Shriman Paramananda from Puri. The moment I Tota has left us forever. You treated Tota as your son. He was a servant of Krishna. He took birth in the house of a Vaishnava. As his parents, you served him. He accepted your service to the extent that he was destined, and after that, he left. Although Tota received his body from you, he is a spirit soul, a Vaishnava. His eternal duty is to serve the Supreme Lord. A Vaishnava comes to this material world according to his karma.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, are you still there? Hare Krishna.
Here, he goes to work. He's Lakshmi. Sorry, my internet is not stable, I guess.
Okay, all right.
So he was a Vaishnava, part and parcel of Nityananda Prabhu, the predominating lord of the Sandini potency. And so if you learn to treat you will no longer feel the absence of. As the Supreme Lord lived in the heart of Tota, and so you served him, so now you should serve Lord Baladev. The material body of Tota has been merged into the 5 gross material elements. The spirit soul of Tota will remain engaged in the service of the energetic Lord. Your material son, real father. He's meant to be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, and so his real business is to serve him. Realizing that you're not conditioned by Maya, the Supreme Lord will not allow you to become overwhelmed with grief and will bestow upon you his unlimited mercy and power. This is my feeling. Remember the pastime regarding Shiva's son. Study Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat and read Shoka Satana. When Mahaprabhu accepted the renounced order of life, his wife Vishnupriya Devi and the residents of Navadvip. I am only a human being, and I am related to all of you in some kind of relationship. When I am gone, you should establish your relationship with Krishna instead of me, and thus give me an opportunity to serve Lord Hari independently. You too will have more time to serve the Supreme Lord in the absence of Tota. Whatever the Supreme Lord does is for the benefit of all. I am a conditioned soul, so what more can I tell you? This is Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Although he says he is, but this is the characteristic of an Uttama Adhikari, a devotee who thinks everybody else is a devotee, but me. I'm the only one who is not a devotee. The Kanishta Adhikari is the one who thinks, here is God, and on the altar, I am a devotee, but nobody else is. So this is the dilemma. And the Madhyama Adhikari has learned a little bit more, so thinks, your devotees, so it's a much safer position. So anyway, I wanted to give you time, if you are so encouraged, to discuss whatever topics you have in mind, whether I mentioned them or not, is irrelevant at this point.
So should we
I
open
can serve you in any way, because I'm not doing enough service. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So Prabhu, first of all, thank you so much for your words of wisdom and your guidance. Really appreciate that. I'll kick it off with a question, and then we'll have others also ask. Whoever wants to can unmute themselves and ask. So you mentioned, obviously, Uttama Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, Kanishta Adhikari. So how do we, or what can we do in 2021 to at least move towards becoming a Madhyama Adhikari, wherever we are? I'm making too many assumptions. Maybe I should direct it towards myself instead of making assumptions about others. But do you have any particular? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, they say the greatest profit there is in any business is to buy a person for what they are worth and to sell them for what they think they're worth. There is no more profit in any other business, because everybody thinks that I am more than what I'm really worth. So in devotional life, it's the same thing. We may think, oh, I'm stable, I'm good, I'm not a Kanishta, I'm not an Uttama, I can see that, but I'm not a Kanishta, I'm safe, I'm in a safe position. But we should see that the greatest progress you can make is by associating with those who are more advanced than you. And additionally, you should think that pretty much the world is full of people more advanced than you. And that's how you can select, because people have good qualities in general. They come with from different backgrounds and they have different histories. So you may learn that someone who is eating meat and drinking alcohol and so on has an enormous amount of patience and tolerance and is kind to others. So you can learn the things from others, and you may see that a devotee that's more advanced than you gets easily irritated and is always yelling at others and so on. So you may think, well, who is who is more advanced? This Prabhu who has been practicing Krishna consciousness for so long, or this person who commits all day? But the fact is that we have to see the faults in ourselves, and that if you actually try to see the faults in yourselves, it will take so much time. You won't have time to see the faults in others, because we have so much to learn, and you may be tested many times. Do you think let's pretend we have you think I'm very patient and I'm very and so on. Don't say that, because Krishna is going to really test you. He's going to make you very, very angry. You're gonna lose it, and he's going to present a test. You're going to have to eat your words, because Maya is insurmountable, and Krishna is dictating Maya how to train you. This is a tape for you to make spiritual advancement. You didn't design it. If you design it, it will be not as difficult. It will be a lot easier. So Krishna has designed a program for each one of us where we have to pass every test. And the tests come, and they come. And you think, well, I passed this major test. Now it's time to take a little break. But that's not the plan. That's not the program. The program is, okay, you pass that amount of mass, a spiritual muscle, and now you can lift heavier weight. So guess what? I'm going to add, a little more weight to your barbell, so you can pick it up, see how you feel about it, and then you create more muscle mass, and then a heavy tests are not to torture you, but actually to train you to deal with real tests. The real test is: are you humble like a blade of grass? Are you tolerant like a tree? Are you ready to be vilified and respect everybody else regardless of how you feel about it? Are you ready to chant the holy name how it should be chanted? So that's why the boot camp is long and arduous, because Krishna wants you to be a good soldier, not a wimp that as soon as you hear some bullets flying over you, you run for cover. To take shelter of Krishna, and Krishna will protect you in every circumstance. Of course, this is a big topic, surrender. Devotees constantly ask about this. They constantly preach about it. They constantly talk about it. Surrender. But surrender, what does that mean? What does it mean you surrender to Krishna? Didn't we do that when we joined the Krishna consciousness movement? Didn't we surrender? No, we just did one step. You have to surrender every day, all day long. So how do you do that? How do you do that? Without patience, without enthusiasm, without with humility and tolerance, it's nearly impossible. So try to restructure. That's why I'm saying be introspective. Try to restructure your life around this. Of course, once I always had this doubt. What does that mean? Becoming humble like a blade of grass. Oh, my internet is unstable, so I may be cut off anytime. Anyway, what does it mean to be humble like a blade of? Some simile? I thought that's not possible. How do you become? Come on, there is snow here where I live, and I can see that the grass is under the snow, freezing. And when the snow melts, then the grass is still there, it's still alive. Don't say a word. People step on the grass, spit on the grass, dogs poop on the grass. The grass is not doing anything to counteract it or to avoid it. It's just there. So it's nearly impossible. And tolerant like a tree, trees are being scorched by the heat and frozen by the cold weather, and people cut the trees and carve the initials in the trees and take the fruits out of the trees. What's going on? How is it possible to be that tolerant? That's obviously maybe for trees because they have a reduced amount of consciousness, but how could a human or someone in a human body become that tolerant? And if you know that you have, don't you expect that people will appreciate that and have some respect for you? What if they don't, you become an honest and nobody cares about you, and you should still care about others and give respect to others as if you were respected? Oh goodness, that doesn't sound like a good thing at all. So I asked this question to, I think where was it? Maybe Simhachalam in Germany. This is Lord Nishingadevis, or Amviksgard in Sweden at a Kirtan festival. I can't remember where it was, but I asked this question to some senior Vaishnavas. And he's the one who answered for me. To be humble like a blade of grass and to be tolerant like a tree. It may seem like a far-fetched idea, but it isn't. If you become a manina manadin, if you give respect and don't expect anything, that will propel you to the state where you actually will become totally humble, like Raghunath Das Goswami, absolutely tolerant, like Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur was beaten in over 20 markets by these two brutes. That was their job. They had plenty of practice beating people, and they told Haridas, market, beating him up in front of everybody. Why markets? Because that's where people gather. They're shopping and they're gathering there. So in order to humiliate him even more, they took him to the different markets all over town, and he didn't die. And Haridas Thakur, because of his enormous compassion, he became quite concerned about these guards and said, why are you depressed? You did your duty. But he didn't die. Oh, I had no idea I had to die. Because if you don't die, then we get killed by our boss. So Haridas Thakur said, all right. So he sat down and he went into samadhi. And he stopped breathing. So ecstatic at this point, and they called their boss and came to see, and they could see that Haridas was not breathing. So because he was a Muslim that converted into Vaishnavism, they thought, how come we went further? So they decided, because the Muslims bury their dead and the Vaishnavas burn their dead, they say, we won't do that. We'll just throw them in the river, just as a added insult to after everything else. First of all, when Lord Vishnu saw that happening, that they wanted to do that, he actually manifested the weight of the entire universe within the heart of Haridas Thakur. So you could not move them. They brought more and more guards. A finger, a hair, nothing. So they were very frustrated, but eventually the Lord released the pressure and they were able to pick him up and throw them in the river. And Haridas Thakur floated on the river until ended up on the other shore, where he actually stood up and chanted Haribol. The Zamindar understood of his offense and went across and apologized and so on. So this is a case of someone who is extremely tolerant. Of course, he is not that he, after all that pain, he was tolerant, because he was so advanced that Lord Chaitanya himself threw his body on top of Haridas, invisible to others, even to Haridas. So Lord Chaitanya received all the beatings during the Mahaprakash Lila, where called by one to Lord Chaitanya, who would be with them in the original form that they worship. So when it came the time of Haridas Thakur, Lord Chaitanya, as Lord Chaitanya, turned around and took his upper cloth and showed his back. Completely cut and beaten by the guards who took Haridas Thakurs to the markets. So this is how much love you get if you do the right thing. But Lord Chaitanya himself will take a beating for you. Right now, we are all taking a beating. You know, we are not Haridas Thakur. We are not scoring just complaining and whimpered, and we haven't even gotten beaten in one market. But if you actually develop Chaitanya, then he will take care of your life. He will guide you to the next step. I guess that was an extended answer. Somewhat satisfied your inquiry. So how do you become more advanced? You become humble and tolerant, and by giving respect to others without expecting any respect.
Thank you, Prabhu. Really appreciate that. I have another question, a follow-up question, really, but I'll wait for others to ask their questions first.
Sure. Maybe the IKEA people have a question.
All right. Questions from others? Please go ahead and unmute yourselves and ask a question.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for your. Now,
Hare Krishna.
yeah, with Haridas Thakur, and it's been discussed over and over and over again that can you lower that? That Haridas Thakur really doesn't feel any pain, and that has to come off. It cannot be echoing. And the fact is that when I was in Vrindavan in '77, and I had I stayed in a room that was right across from Srila Prabhupada's veranda, where he would lay down at night and be fanned, and he was in pain. And if you tell me that he didn't feel any pain because he was a pure devotee, I'll tell you that he felt pain. And so, you know, so many people are saying, oh, Haridas Thakur did not feel pain. Now, from other points of view, the pure devotee experiences pain, but he's not attached to the pain. Now, and that was, you know, told by someone else, you know, because I bring this question up, and everybody has, and as a matter of fact, the first time I heard this comment was from your temple there in Denver. I think it was Krishna Tulsa who was giving the class, and he brought up the topic of Thakur, Haridas Thakur not feeling any pain. Maybe he did it, but I know Prabhupada was uncomfortable. Yeah, you know, the pain that Christ feels is not the same pain. It's not motivated or caused by sinful reactions, or maybe I remember back in the early days, you know, when they used to tell us, yeah, don't commit offenses because Srila Prabhupada will get sick. He will absorb your karma, and he will experience discomfort. He had heart attacks and, you know, so many discomforts, you know, that his body underwent. But if you tell me that he didn't feel any pain, I don't know. I was there and I saw the pain. Okay, that's my comment. Give me your take on that. Thank you.
Can I go back? I can't hear anything.
Sarvatma Prabhu, did you get the question by chance? Hare Krishna.
I can hear you, but he can't hear us.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Hear you
Sarvatma
now,
Prabhu.
but
Yeah,
keep,
yeah.
it keeps freezing. So go ahead.
Okay.
So I heard up until that Prabhupada was in pain, and I couldn't convince you that Prabhupada did not feel pain at the time, right?
Yes, no, you did not give the class. It was Krishna Tulsa or Tulsa Krishna who gave the class.
Okay. Oh. Okay. So what is the question or what is the comment? I missed it because of this disconnection with this freezing screen that I had.
So you're saying that the pure devotee does not experience pain.
No, I said Haridas Thakur in that occasion didn't experience pain.
Okay, that was not necessarily every pure devotee does not experience pain because Go ahead.
No, I don't think so. I think everybody experiences pain as long as you're in the material world. You will, and you have a material body. Even if a body is spiritualized to a certain degree, unless it's 100%. It may be different how you process it. Like you see it as Krishna's mercy, or you will pray and the pain is going to be diminished, or people come and read to you or chant, or you get so absorbed in chanting that you experience an out of body experience and you don't feel the pain at the time. But the pain is there. The pain is there. And it's, for most of us, it's the consequence of our actions, and for some, it's just a residual thing that they have to experience. Like for Maharaj, disobeyed Krishna. Krishna told him, in order to kill, who was it? Dronacharya, right? Tell him his son Ashwatthama is dead. And he thought he was in higher moral ground than Krishna himself. So he refused to tell a lie because he was known as someone who wouldn't tell a lie. And they didn't want to say it. So they had to devise a trick and say, okay. And they shot an arrow on an elephant that was, go ahead and say Ashwatthama is dead. Because they knew that if, excuse me, if Yudhishthira says Ashwatthama is dead, he won't lie. And they probably couldn't figure out that he was talking about an elephant. They say, I'm not sure, because Madhvacharya 1,000 years ago said that the Mahabharata is a corrupted text. So we don't exactly know if this is a true story, although it is also mentioned in other places. But anyway, let's and Yudhishthira Maharaj had to experience hell. He had to see it. He didn't have to stay there, but he had to see it. So the pure devotees, because who can doubt that Yudhishthira was a pure devotee, had to see pain. And for someone like Yudhishthira to see other foreign to the idea of suffering pain. I mean, kshatriyas are not having fun. Like a martial artist, when there is MMA or karate or so on, they don't do it for self-defense or as a hobby. They like competitive fighting, and they experience pain, but they don't experience it like you because of practice, because of adrenaline rush. But they do experience pain. So let's say the pure devotees, like you or I, they can see it in a with a completely different perspective, and the adrenaline is called Krishna consciousness. So the pain is not there. There's something, they just see it as mercy. Anyways, right? You've been in the movement long enough that you still remember when we used to get the sauce, as a brahmachari, as a new devotee, anybody can come and boss you around and make you miserable and tell you what to do, what not to do, and punish, ludicrous. But you grew strong. You grew stronger. You're still around. You're still kicking. You haven't gone anywhere. You're not crying and whimpering in a corner, because somebody told you that you did something wrong. And nowadays, different generation, many generations, actually, people are very soft, very delicate, and parents telling the children that they can be anything they want, which is a lie. They cannot be anything they want. They have become spoiled and weak, so you can't even say anything, because it's traumatic. I was hearing an example of a speaker, a university, for God's sake, and the university made an announcement one particular area of the campus with a room, and it's going to be a safe place, because if you feel threatened by someone who comes to campus to give an opinion that doesn't coincide with yours, you need a safe space to protect yourself. God Almighty, what is going on?
Are you still on there?
I think Prabhu's internet is really spotty today.
Yes.
Yeah. Hare Krishna, Sarvatma Prabhu, are you still there? Prabhu, we can't hear you at all.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, finally. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I turned the speak.
No, again, it became spotty. Sorry.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Okay. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if it's the connection here or somewhere else. So I was just running it up, saying, the pure devotees, they may or may not experience pain according to their degree of surrender or the will of Krishna, and the trust. I was giving the example of if some little boy provoking a bully because he knows his big brother is behind and he's going to protect him from harm. So as you make spiritual advancement, I guess, and you become purer and purer, you know that Krishna is there protecting you at all times. So you don't have a problem. That they do this exercise of trust, that someone closes their eyes and the partner of a friend is behind, and they just let themselves go and fall because they know they're going to be caught by the friend or the loved one. So as you make more and more advancement, then you can see that Krishna will take care of you. Even in the middle of pain, you won't suffer. And you also should think, I should suffer a lot more. And Krishna is actually minimizing it for me. So you're grateful even with pain. Of course, that's at very advanced stage. I'm not claiming to have it. But at least I know what to expect and how to proceed. Of course, at the time of death, that all becomes all too apparent that it was all training for that time. When death comes and nothing works, and nothing works, really. All your so-called control goes out the window. You have no control over anything. Your body temperature goes up to 107 degrees and then drops. You become like an ice block. You have to tolerate that and think of Krishna. So Krishna is giving you a few tests here and there. You see a little pain here and there, just as a practice run. So at the time of death, you have some chances of not being completely bewildered by the experiences.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question. It was and the comment. Yes, it's good. We need to know the things. It's not like you become a pure devotee and then all the problems are gone. No, it's how you deal with it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? What did you guys do?
Yeah, so my follow-up question then was to your earlier answer was, so of course you said advanced devotee, humility, completely 100% makes sense. But how do some of us recognize that this person is really truly advanced? If we don't know how advanced someone is, how can we even hope to take their association properly?
Well, go slowly. Also, don't just become blinded by someone's charisma. Someone may have a bunch of a lot of disciples and still may not be too advanced, and someone may be unknown, insignificant, and may be very advanced. We have here in Denver a lady. Her name is Mother Nidra. She's a Prabhupada disciple, and she's probably one of the most advanced people I've ever met, and I met quite a few. I think she's a pure devotee. There's nothing in her to indicate the opposite, and that's not because she's been advertising herself as a pure devotee, but because you can see it. You can see through. In order to understand any particular object or subject, You have to be informed of what are the characteristics of such thing. Like Prabhupada said, if you're looking for gold and you don't know what gold is like, the search doesn't begin until you understand what you're looking for. There's like people say, I'm searching. Yeah, but they don't know what they're searching for. That means the search is meaningless. Well, it may have some merit, it may bring them to a certain point. But in order to find gold, what gold is like, what is it like? You have to have a sample, you have to have a picture, you have to have the reaction, how does it change when you put different substances, when you burn it. This is a completely, this is so a pure devotee. To recognize and advance the devotee. You have to be a devotee. That will be useful. Even though when, in the case of Prabhupada, even some of the professors that came to see him could, or even ordinary people could recognize this is not an ordinary person. They wouldn't call it pure devotee. They didn't know, but they could tell that he's not like us. I saw a picture of Prabhupada on a magazine, and I could tell. I had no training. I had no information of any sort, and I could see this is not an ordinary person. This is a completely different category of humans, or whatever they are. I'd never seen anybody like him. And you can see, I mean, Prabhupada, his life was scrutinized and filmed and recorded, and every word, and when Prabhupada speaks, and every picture. I mean, come on, how many pictures have your parents and friends have taken of you, and some you would rather, burn in a bucket, and you don't look photogenic in every picture. But Prabhupada looks great. He looks amazing in every picture that's been taken. And there are tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. Who knows how many pictures they've taken of Prabhupada. So there is at that level that you can see, okay, this is not an ordinary person. But then you can associate with a person. And you can, one good test is to go through difficult situations. How a person faces a difficult situation. As they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. So you don't really know who your real true friends are until you're in trouble. They need to help you out. The rest they're gonna haribo, but they're gonna drop you like a hot potato. So if you see, if you study, if you hear someone who is advanced, you should recognize it. There's a sound. The sound vibration goes from the ear to the heart. If it's a spiritual sound vibration, it will. It's like sympathetic strings on a sitar. They will resonate when you hit a certain note. Some of them will resonate. So you know, way deep within your heart, who will resonate with you. So it's not charisma. It's not looks. It's not because the person has disciples or money or speaks very nicely. It has to be a whole combination of things. As we have seen, great orators, people who can speak very nicely, but they have a despicable life. And in our movement, we have seen that flash in the pan. Someone who have achieved a certain level of notoriety, and I said that in a good sense. And then they became notorious in the wrong kind of use of the word, because they have done abominable things. Of course, there is the apichet sudura charo, that nobody's really despicable. When someone becomes a devotee, Krishna will rectify him. So we should be very careful at criticizing them. But it doesn't mean that you have to associate with them. You have to actually see also, if someone is a guru, for example, don't bother, don't try to scrutinize the guru. Check his disciples. See how the disciples behave. And then you will see, this it must be an advanced personality, because a neophyte couldn't make this kind of devotees. Couldn't give any proper guidance. There's so many the relationships, how the fundamentals, how they work, cooperate with each other. I remember in the early 80s, I remember I was friends with a lot of Sarvatma Maharaj's disciples, and they were so well behaved. I didn't need to hang out with Sarvatma Maharaj to see if he was advanced or not. I could see these devotees, they're very Krishna conscious, very nice to each other and to others. That's it. That did it for me. I wasn't wrong. So in order to associate with someone, study their habits, listen to what they have to say, converse with those who are in contact with them, or their dependents, maybe a family man, see how the spouse and the children are, or the disciples or the friends, then you will see. And really, how many people can you meet? You don't have to meet every pure devotee or every advanced devotee. Just have one or two supporting forces in your life. Just like if you have a good friend in your life, you're not alone. You don't need half a dozen or a dozen friends. The more the merrier, but if you don't have them, it's fine as soon as you have one. So if you meet someone who's advanced, take advantage of them. Just render some service. Ask, what can I do for you? Because how can I gain your confidence? What can I do? Yeah, and it's the same thing when you meet Krishna. When you meet the Guru, Prabhupada was proud of saying, what can I do for you to this Guru? That was his question. The other questions took place in the first meeting. But then Prabhupada just asked, how can I serve you? And when you meet Krishna, then you ask him, what can I do for you? Because that's the basis of all relationships, service. If there is love involved. If there is no love, then you expect service from someone else to you. But if there is love, you want to be the servant. Because that's your position. That's where you're situated in your natural space. You actually want to serve. And if you spontaneously feel like serving someone, then you know that person must be advanced. I don't say it's as an infallible conclusion, but you feel like I should serve this person. And you're usually right. Yes, this will give service. And if that person is advanced, they will see what you offer as poison. They'll think, no, I should be serving you. Then you know for sure, yes, this person is very advanced. Is that okay, Prabhu?
Well, thank you so much, Prabhu. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. That was very helpful. Okay. Any other concluding questions, comments from anyone? All right. So if not, oh, sorry, was there a question? Okay. So let's all unmute and thank Sarvatma Prabhu by chanting Haribol 3 times. Prabhu, thank you so much for your valuable time and invaluable guidance. We really appreciate that.
Haribol, Haribol.
All right, so we'll conclude by chanting Nashingadeva prayers.
Okay.
Let's see who is there. Madan Adbhut Prabhu, would you or your family like to chant Nashingadeva prayers?
Yes.
Are they available? Yeah, Nashingadeva prayers.
Ashika Vidhi, Nashingadeva prayers, come on.
My screen was frozen for a while, so if you started asking something, can you please start again?
Prabhu, we were thanking you for your time and your guidance. We really appreciate that. So thank you so much for taking such a lot of time off and then helping us.
I'm obliged to all of you for giving me service. You know, when you learn the movement in the beginning, when you're a new devotee, everybody gives you service. Service is available 24/7. Everybody wants to engage you. But then when you spend some time and you gain some pseudo respectability and some position and some honor, it's very difficult. Nobody wants to serve by you. So this I consider service, and it's, I wish I could do more. I have no other business. You know, anything else is just a distraction for me. This is my real life. So I beg you to keep me alive.
Thank you, Prabhu. Really appreciate that. All right, so we were going to conclude by chanting Nashinade prayers.
Okay.
So Madan Adbhut Prabhu, Meenakshi Mohini Mataji, Vidhi, and Harshika are going to be doing that.
Take it away.
Namaste Narasingaya
Thank you very much for that very well rehearsed performance. I think you have done it
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
before.
All right. So we're going to have quite a few events coming up, more to follow through the week. Thank you, everybody, for joining. A very, very happy New Year to everyone. And happy Ekadashi as well. Let's conclude by unmuting ourselves if possible and offering each other Vaishnava.
So please
All right.